Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello, friends, and welcome into another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We hope you enjoyed your Labor Day weekend. It is the final day of this 3-day weekend. It is Labor Day Monday, September 7th, 2020, here in the beautiful city of Chicago. And before we get to today's special episode, let's go ahead and take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeMMedia. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, Apple, iTunes, and everything in between. Become a producer of the show on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home to our interviews with athletes and celebrities that you get here ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. You can get your holiday season shopping done early. Visit us at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. And come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves. Since we are celebrating the holiday here on Mercado Airwaves and Sports from the Couch, I think it's only fair on a Labor Day that we do absolutely no real work and we have a fun episode where we just make our predictions for the NFL season. Hopefully we get the entire NFL season, and this way you guys can make fun of me at the end of said season and we can see how well I did, or more than likely how awful I did. Don't forget, here on the network on Sports from the Couch, on youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network, and on Facebook, you can watch the live video when we make our confidence picks every single week. That first episode will be up either Wednesday or Thursday. We'll figure out the scheduling. Normally we do an episode on Wednesday, but we might be flip-flopping some things around here on the schedule during the football season. We'll keep you posted on that. But with that in mind, I also want to take a look at some of the betting odds, some of the fun stuff that you could put some dinero in if you have some extra income, if you want to let off some steam during this NFL season. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at each division, and we're going to break down who I think is going to win and who's going to make the playoffs. And eventually, I will tell you my AFC Championship game and my NFC Championship game leading to the Super Bowl. First of all, in the AFC East, we will start off in the AFC. That is, in the AFC East, we have the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets. The Bills are a nice team. We're going to see how this all plays out with if Josh Allen could take the next step. You have John Brown. You have Devin Singletary. Like, they have a nice team. The problem is they've been in the same division with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady for all these years. Now you have this new uncertainty of this new regime of Patriots. But unfortunately for what I think Bill fans are looking forward to, a great successful season, might be that, but won't be a division win. I think the Patriots are still the best team in that division. And I think people are sleeping on Cam Newton for some weird reason, because there's this weird narrative that mainstream media has given you about his injury prowess and that he's just not going to be the same. He's still one of the best quarterbacks when healthy, right? So that's all it comes down to, is we have to see him on the field. And if he's played 14, 15 games this season, that means the Patriots are good. And here's the thing, Bill Belichick is as callous as them all. If he wasn't what he thinks he can end up being to help the Patriots team, he wouldn't be playing. Now, I could be totally wrong, and they could be tanking for Trevor Lawrence. But I personally believe the Patriots win this division. I think Cam Newton has an awesome season. So I have them coming out of the AFC East. I have the Patriots coming out of the AFC East. In the AFC West, we have the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. The Chargers are then going to take a step back. The Raiders going to be interesting with their new move in Las Vegas. The Broncos, probably the nicest team in the division, not named the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going to run away with this division. I think it's very rare that you have this situation, obviously, where dynasties are formed in this NFL. But the reason I say that, they have a lot of young players that are not under contract, that have gone through the playoffs, that have gone through all of the turmoil of winning and losing and playing at home, not playing at home. I think this Chiefs team has everything going for it. It's a lot like what the Seahawks did, where they had that nice little window of 5-6 years because you have your quarterback. So I think the Chiefs still win this division, but I think the Broncos are an interesting team to see maybe win a wild card. In the AFC North, we have the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. The Browns, it comes down to what's going to happen with all the drama. Is Baker Mayfield going to take a step to being a star quarterback? Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Can he get back to that level? And then you have Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt, you have Nick Chubb. Like, there's a lot of power on that offense. A first-year head coach coming to that team. There's a lot of potential for the Browns. But at the end of it, I have to see them do it. They're one of those organizations. I need to see it before I'm going ahead and put my mortgage on betting for the Browns. The Bengals rebuilding, just interested to see how Joe Burrow does this season, how AJ Green bounces back. Tyler Boyd, somebody to watch out for in fantasy football. The Ravens, really, it's Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, Mark Ingram. It's a good team. It's a good defense. They were taking the right steps. This really comes down to, is Lamar Jackson truly on Patrick Mahomes' level? I love Lamar Jackson. I'm vested. I have a lot of investment in Lamar Jackson. I always thought he was a hell of a quarterback. I wish the Bears were in a position to have picked him a few years back. But it's on him. If Lamar Jackson is great, the Ravens run away with this division. If he takes the recession like we all think he will, because he was just so good last year, they're going to struggle a little bit. Especially if Ben Roethlisberger comes back and is anywhere near the quarterback that he's been before. And you have to assume that they're going to be better with Juju and James Conner and people being healthy. It's still going to be a really tough division. I think it's still a 2-team division, and the Browns being a weird wild card. I'm going to go with the Ravens winning this division, but we know in the National Football League, there's always a flip that happens. And a lot of that's going to come to health. And I think the Ravens are the better team because they have the best quarterback in the division, but Pittsburgh is scary and the Browns are such a weird wild card. And finally, in the AFC South, we have the Texans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans. The Titans, the surprise team of the AFC. Derrick Henry came out of nowhere. I shouldn't even say out of nowhere, just dominated. The way he dominated came out of nowhere, but a top-tier running back shouldn't have been that surprised. Ryan Tannehill kind of had a resurgence in his career. We'll see how all that ends up breaking down. A.J. Brown. I like the Titans. The Jaguars completely rebuilding. The Colts, Phillip Rivers. That's fun. We'll see how they play out, and if they could stay healthy with like a T.Y. Hilton, Nyheim Hines, Marlon Mack, they're a fun team. And Phillip Rivers, I think, would have retired if he thought he couldn't have won in these teams that were going to sign him. So interested to see how the Colts play out. And of course, the Texans, they're the most talented team. They have the most potential, and they have arguably the best quarterback. And not only in that division, they probably have the fourth best quarterback in the league. So this is one of those tough ones where I want to say the Colts win this division, but I'm going to give it to Deshaun Watson if he stays healthy. He's got his contract. You give him Will Fuller. He's got Brandon Cooks. David Johnson should come back healthy. That's a good team. And if Bill O'Brien stays out of the way, they could win this division. But I'm going to go with the Texans. But I do think a wild card comes out of the AFC South. And let's not forget that this year, with the 4 division winners, we also get 3 wild cards this year instead of the normal 2. So we're going to have 14 teams in the playoffs instead of 12. So it does give us a little bit more leeway and wiggle room to pick teams. So let's say with the 4 division winners, we have the Patriots, we have the Chiefs, we have the Ravens, and we have the Texans. So then I would go with the Bills coming out of the AFC East. I would say the Steelers coming out of the AFC North, and I will go with the Colts coming out of the AFC South as the remaining wild card teams. So that is who I have coming out of the AFC. One last time, winning the AFC East, it's the Patriots. The Bills come out with a wild card. In the AFC West, the Chiefs remain the AFC West champions. In the AFC North, I have the Ravens winning the division and the Steelers winning the wild card. In the AFC South, I have the Texans winning the division and the Colts coming out as a wild card team. And we move on to the NFC. We start off in the NFC East, the Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, and Washington. So it's going to come down to the Cowboys and the Eagles, in my opinion. You have the Cowboys going through this crazy offseason with Dak Prescott just refusing to pay him. And then we see the entire NFL landscape change with all these other quarterbacks getting their money. I think the Cowboys probably have the most talent in the NFC East. The Eagles obviously have the pedigree of winning championships. So I actually think it's not that close. I think Washington's a pretty bad team. I think the Giants are a pretty bad team, even though they have some nice players. I think Washington, obviously, who knows what's going on with Haskins? Who knows what's going on with that entire front office and ownership? And the Giants, obviously, just a rebuild in all the senses. But you have Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. We'll see what happens with Sterling Shepard. I think it comes down to if the Cowboys stay right, they could probably win the NFC East pretty easily. It's just whether or not the pesky Eagles continue to stay on their heels. And if Carson Wentz stays healthy, there's a good chance that happens. In the NFC West, you have the Cardinals, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks. So the 49ers have the worst luck of all these teams, I believe, just because they're the team that was the runner-up in the Super Bowl. And we know how horrible that is for teams. I think they're definitely going to take a step back. I think the Seahawks, probably this is it in that window. They've made some moves, but we'll see if DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are enough help for Russell Wilson to really go ahead and continue on in his Hall of Fame career and try to get another Super Bowl. We'll see if Chris Carson is, that true running back that they've been looking for so long. The Rams, moving on without Todd Gurley. We'll see. Sean McVay, this is it. This is a moment where we get to see the genius that is, can he make Jared Goff into the quarterback that is the number one pick like he was? We'll see what he could do with Kupp. We'll see what he could do without Brandon Cooks. So I'm interested to see, Cam Akers, a rookie running back, not taking a lot of the snaps. And this is a team that got to the Super Bowl. And again, it's another NFC West team that went to the Super Bowl and couldn't do that the next season. Downtrodden season the next year. We saw it with the Carolina Panthers. Something I'm looking out for the 49ers. The Cardinals are fun. They're young. I like Kyler Murray. They just get DeAndre Hopkins. They could go ahead and mess people's season up. They could go ahead and win 7-8 games. I'm going to say the Seahawks win the NFC West. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, because there's a lot of teams that have a lot of pressure on them, a lot of money on the books, and they demand a win, a championship. And if it doesn't come, what does that mean moving forward? We come locally, guys. Let's go to our hometown here in Chicago, Bears. As we look to the NFC North, we have the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. So here in Chicago, we'll take the spin like we're supposed to here in the city, We know Mitch is going to start over Nick Foles. If you listen to the last episode, I could get heated about this all day long. But bottom line is, this Bears team has one of the top receivers in the league in its lineup. There's no excuse for them not to be able to move the ball down the field. They have 7 tight ends. If Anthony Miller stays healthy, he's a good number 2. They need to go ahead and try to get Montgomery back, but you have Tariq Cohen. Let's see what Matt Nagy can do with that genius offense. Can he utilize some of these guys? If Mitch Trubisky plays decent, they have a chance because they have a world-class defense, period. World-class defense. But if they play horrible offense, if they play mediocre offense, they might get away with it. But anything less than mediocre, than average, they're going to have that defense out on the field way too long, and that's going to cost them a lot of games. The Lions, we'll see. Again, a lot of offensive power. They could come out of nowhere. I'm not willing. They're kind of like the Browns to me. I'm not going to put any money on them. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run at this. The Packers, they refuse to give Aaron Rodgers any help. And then they expect him to still win Super Bowls. At some point, it's going to bite them in the ass, you would think. And maybe that's already happened when they go ahead and they draft Jordan Love. And if Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and the new Devin Funchess, they give him some help, Aaron Rodgers could do a lot. Aaron Rodgers could carry this team. I just think he's over it. And then probably the most interesting team in the NFC North is the Minnesota Vikings. They make that big move with Jacksonville to shore up that defense. if Kirk Cousins keeps the ball to the guys in purple, it's the Vikings division. They have one of the best running backs, the best defense. They have awesome receivers. They're not going to have Diggs, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for them. And they're a team who, again, always the bridesmaid. And we've seen them have horrible luck in the playoffs while also benefiting from horrible luck on other teams' expense. So at some point, we're going to have to see who this real Vikings team is. And now that Kirk Cousins deal doesn't seem as horrible, just because quarterbacks are getting paid. Now the quarterbacks who are getting paid deserve it. But now it at least is a little bit more digestible for these teams. But I think the Vikings need to strike now in order to win the NFC North. And I don't think there's much ahead of them to keep them from that, except for Aaron Rodgers. And finally, in the NFC South, we have the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Buccaneers. Oh boy. Leonard Fournette now a Buccaneer. Rob Gronkowski a Buccaneer. Obviously, Tom Brady a Buccaneer. We'll see what Bruce Arians does. I like O.J. Howard. I love the Saints. I think Drew Brees is going to bounce back. I think all this Alvin Kamara stuff will play itself out. Michael Thomas, awesome receiver, probably the best in the league. Emmanuel Sanders. If their defense can hold up their end, just be top 10 in the league. You don't even need to be top 5. If they can be top 10, they can win the Super Bowl. So can the Buccaneers. You talk about weapons on weapons on weapons. If these two defenses can keep their end of the bargain, both of these teams can win the Super Bowl. And they still have to go play Matt Ryan and his Falcons. Like, there's still a lot of talent there. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey and Teddy Bridgewater is going to be interesting to see what they do. Curtis Samuel over in Carolina. But this is, I think, a Saints and Buccaneers race. I'm going to say the Saints win the NFC South, but it's going to be really close. And then with that in mind, I think we're going to go with the Packers, the Buccaneers, and the San Francisco 49ers as the 3 wildcard teams. And with that, we have ourselves the 7 teams in the NFC playoffs. I have the Cowboys winning the NFC East. I have the Seahawks winning the NFC West with the San Francisco 49ers coming out as a wildcard team. I have the Vikings winning the NFC North with the Packers coming out as a wildcard team. And in the NFC South, I have the Saints winning the division with the Buccaneers coming out as a wildcard team. But we have all our competitors. They are ready. We have the 14 teams. Only one can be the Super Bowl champion. In the AFC Championship game, I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Baltimore Ravens to move on to Super Bowl 55. And in the NFC Championship game, I have the New Orleans Saints beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to advance to another Super Bowl for Drew Brees at Super Bowl 55, giving us the NFC champion New Orleans Saints taking on the defending, reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs out of the AFC at Super Bowl 55. And the team I predict to hoist the Vince Lombardi Trophy this February if everything goes according to plan and the football gods smile upon us and we all pull the rope in the same direction, the Kansas City Chiefs will repeat as Super Bowl champions at Super Bowl 55. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think wins it all? Who wins the divisions? Who is your surprise team to make the playoffs? Who's your surprise team to miss the playoffs? I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and you can follow the show on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Before we head out for some barbecues and some brewskis on this Labor Day Monday, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these odds for the NFL season. Maybe you can put a couple bucks here and there and have a good time as we hopefully unwind and decompress during this NFL season while the NBA playoffs also entertain us. We'll take a look, first of all, who wins the regular season MVP? I'm looking at right now thelines.com, and they're giving us some different odds from different websites. The first thing that I'm going to scroll to is player base to win MVP. We have Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, the top 6 to bet on. And here are the betting odds for each of these guys to win the MVP. Plus 391 for Mahomes, plus 682 for Jackson, plus 755 for Wilson, plus 1236 for Prescott, plus 1636 for Brady, and plus 1655 for Watson. I don't think they're going to want to give Mahomes the MVP again. Like, he's going to have to do a hell of a lot to go as a repeat MVP. I think Lamar Jackson kind of has a lot of the hype going into this offseason. You have Dak Prescott, who obviously has the contract going on, so you have that interesting narrative. Tom Brady moving to a new team, a new conference, a darling story. If they win 10, 11, 12 games, that'd be interesting. Deshaun Watson is my dark horse in this scenario. If he puts up good numbers like he did last year, he gets the Texans to the playoffs, and he's able to make a nice run. They're comparable to a Mahomes or a Jackson or a Wilson. I think they'll give it to Deshaun Watson as a different face in the league. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson as my MVP at plus 1655. We can also take a quick look at to win the AFC. They have the Chiefs at plus 287, the Ravens at plus 310, and the Colts at plus 1100. That's very interesting. I go with the Chiefs as well. But if you want to make some money, that'd be interesting to put some money on the Colts or the Patriots. I actually think that the Steelers make a run, and you can actually get some value at plus 1218 with them. To win the NFC, you have the 49ers at plus 453, the Saints at plus 559, the Buccaneers at plus 720, the Cowboys at plus 725, Seahawks at plus 955, Eagles at plus 1027, and the Vikings and Packers below them. Packers at plus 1345. Interesting just to see if Aaron Rodgers wants to make one last ride and shove it to all those in the front office of Green Bay and make a run at it. I got the Saints at plus 559. So that gets us to the win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the odds-on favorites at plus 598. If you want to make some money, I like the Saints at plus 1136. I have the Saints losing to the Chiefs, but that'd be some interesting money. Plus 1409 for the Buccaneers. And this is, of course, in the states that you could legally bet, or if you go to Vegas and whatnot, or if you know a guy who knows a guy. But those are just some of the odds numbers in the beginning of the season and some of the things that I'm kind of looking at. But that'll do it for us, guys, on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves, a special Labor Day edition as we make our NFL predictions for the 2020-2021 season. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, Apple, iTunes, and everything in between. Become a producer of the show on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home to our interviews with athletes and celebrities that you get here ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. You can get your holiday season shopping done early. Visit us at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Please enjoy the holiday. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time here on Sports from the Couch, here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm Mike Mercado.